And we go. Hi, Holly. Hi, Monoflare. We don't need another hero. We'll... okay. Alright. So, again, this character has rested XP, have the blue XP bar. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take our first step, which is to use this beautiful thing right here. And it's going to teleport us to the Jeweled Coast. This is how Horde... It's the only way a Horde can get to Borealis. Or to Stormsong. And one of the things I found that as I was going through all of this... See, this is your path. This is what you're aiming for. You're aiming for the green. And this is the Tom Crazy arrow, which kind of drives me bananas. I'll put it up here out of the way, because I'm not going to care. Because I'm going to focus on this map. Because this map will tell me where I'm going. I mean, I should probably put the map, like, up here, so I can then look up. But I also need to see where I'm kind of going. Alright, so we're going to mount up. I'm going to use a cool new mount that I picked up. Ha 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 ha! Alright, and I'm going to change my bars. Whirling Surge goes on 3. Surge Forward goes on 1. Second Wind can go on 5 because I don't ever use it. So, Skyward Ascent. Alright, let's go. So we're going to turn to face our little arrow, and we're just going to fly. And immediately level up. Sometimes they will auto-complete. And sometimes they won't. But you do want to fly high, or as high as possible. That way you can avoid all of the ground dangers. Whoops, missed that one. Some of them are harder to find or harder to locate. And so you're basically gonna want to keep that diamond on... well, you basically want to keep your horizon. You're going to ignore that rare that just popped up. The game wants you to pay attention to. I'm going to ignore it. Alright. I'm going to... Oh, it's this one. This one's a pain in the ass. See, the bees are pissed off at me. So yeah, you can barely see the game here. The first time I did, I flew lower so I could actually, like, sightsee when I was doing it. And quite frankly, it took forever. See, we already hit 2 levels. Isn't that cool? So this beautiful mount that I picked up, yeah, this is one that you do want to fly quickly, because this one could teleport you away, and then you have to go pick up where you need to, you know. And you do want to keep an eye on how many charges that you have. I really do like the update to Skyriding that changed it from 6 shared charges, like that you had to have 3 charges before you could even use your sprint there, your whirling surge, because now it's on its own separate cooldown, and it's just you have it and then it has a cooldown, versus, oh, I'm going to take 3 of your charges and you're kind of screwed. Whoops, I missed that one. And sometimes you can actually aim your whirling surge to go along with, like, you can see that my next leg is, almost a straight line. So I can use that to kind of, use my whirling surge at a time where I see that I have a straight line of a few things. Whoops, I missed one. There we go. And the game will have you flying over and around the other factions' places. Like, this one will take you flying across Borealis. Like, you'll be flying over, Proudmoore Keep. And if you're a Horde, well, you're not exactly welcome there. Fort Dalen, named after Jaina Proudmoore's daddy, that she stood aside and let her father be killed by orcs of the Horde because, well, he was kind of being more of a dick than they were. So you're going to wind up doing this for about 3 hours. And as you can see with the plugin, the add-on, that you can actually, skip segments. I don't recommend it because this is an optimized path to get you there as quickly as possible. And so it's just watching the little, orient your character to the little white line and just go to town. Some people just use the tom-tom arrow, but I don't actually like it very much. The green dot is way more indicative to me that I'm in the right spot. And having the, the line that all I have to do is orient my my little cursor with the line, and then I'm good. The downside is because you're flying so high, you don't really get a good look at the land around you, especially when you've got the thing in the way. Whoops, I missed one. Hold on. Boop, boop. There we go. Hey! One cool thing is, one thing that helps you manage your skywriting charges is every time you level up, it resets it back to 6. That's kind of cool. We're gonna double tap. Boom, boom. We're gonna do our little speed boost. See, we're flying over Proudmoore's home. This is the Alliance capital from Battle for Azeroth. And we're just flying over it, and we're not getting flagged for PvP or nothing. We're level 16. They could kick our asses, and we don't give a shit, because we're just flying over, and nobody can stop us. Whoops. Nope, I got that one. Whoops, missed that one for sure. Yeah, so Borealis, this was the place. And I do have to say, Battle for Azeroth on the Alliance side had the most beautiful lands. Drustvar was basically, hey, we're oh, okay. Did I already get Trade Winds Market? I can't tell. I think I did. Alright, we're gonna ignore it. So this is where I'm gonna go, boop. One thing I forgot to do is forgot to set my channels up on this character. So I'm going to take just a moment and turn them off. Oops. Well, that didn't go right. Actually, I'm going to backtrack for just a second to get over the city to get the channels to turn back on. So I can turn them off. Come on, where's town? Come on, we're over town. Come on! Come on! Come on, channels. Fine. We're gonna get shot down by the Alliance if we keep doing this. Alright, well. I'll just have to get them the next time I fly over somebody's town. Hey, we got a level. So again, I'd like to point out this character started the stream at level 10 and we're already level 17. Now we aren't currently in lore walking because since we're so low level, going to this area at low level doesn't matter. So yeah, I think the Alliance got the better deal out of the artwork for their zones in Battle for Azeroth. They got these gorgeous, Heartland. They got the City of Borealis, which is basically your average pirate haven, I ran out of skywriting charges, so I gotta wait a little bit till they regenerate. Whoops. Forgot Vigil Hill. There we go. But Drustvar is basically Eternal Autumn, a Witchwood kind of thing, so it does kind of feel like it's from, kind of like influence, I guess, by, winters in honestly in Salem, Massachusetts. It's like, okay, we've got, this horror, we've got these, a stylized witch sort of thing, like, covens and stuff like that. So very stylized. I wouldn't say necessarily it's culturally, the cultural appropriation necessarily, but there, you could definitely see some of the influences. And then the third area in this is like, um, oops, yeah, a couple of lords, couple of manors. Got this really cool estate where you can, ride a really magnificent horse. Oops, we got a ding. Alright, the wicker altar. Come on. Hold on. I think we don't have that one yet. Come on, you. There we go. So you're not even gonna bother with things like your, with your talent trees or anything like that. You're just gonna fly around, no gear, nobody cares, and just stay above the world. So yeah, you can take a look and see how beautiful this land is. Nice tall sailing ships, tide sages that help speed you along by generating favorable winds. Why the fuck did they not have a tide sage shaman attire? Come on. But tide sages are mages. No, they're not. They're mail wearers. So one of the things I did appreciate the first time I ran through, because I was flying so low, I actually started to get a little nostalgic for all these, it's like, oh, I remember, questing here in this expansion. I really enjoyed it. But most of the places you're going to go, this is the most modern. Well, actually, no, I lied. You're actually going to fly through current Silver Moon City, which is actually going to be funny. You can actually fly as a low-level character through Silver Moon, which is the current expansion stuff, and you really do want to avoid landing there because it's a level 20 something and you're in a zone that's scaled for levels 80 to 90. You're gonna get flattened. But it's a lot of fun. So we're just going to be doing this all night. And then tomorrow I'll be on Locho stream at my usual afternoon time of 3 to 6 because Corey will be back. And actually, you know what? It was really funny today that I learned that Orion from the Locho dev team didn't know. Alrighty. See, here's a double tap. This is two nodes in the same thing. I might actually switch. Whoops, landed in a tree. I might actually switch which mount I'm flying for this because it is kind of annoying for this little adventure. Because you can also like zoom out. It looks better if you zoom out. So here's this ship. This guy is actually accessible to both factions. So he's going to take us to Zuldazar. And we're going to fly around the Horde version of Battle for Azeroth. And honestly, some of the Horde stuff is amazing. Like, Dazara lore is gorgeous. It's the worst designed capital in the fucking game. But it looks pretty. It looks really cool, but there's massive cultural appropriation going on with the Zendalari trolls. I'm just saying. And the funny thing is, if you land on this boat right here. Hey, Atrig! My favorite orc. Well, the Horde won't murder you on sight. However, if you're Alliance, you wind up like over here someplace. Like, yeah, over there. Um, or no, you actually... No, that's the boat. This is the boat right here. I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is the one that goes to, that goes to the Echo Isles. Anyhow, let's get on. Oh, I said I was going to switch. No, this is fine. I was zoomed in too far. That was my problem. So this is gorgeous. It is very beautiful. And we'll actually go look at Dazar'alor itself, the actual capital. It is amazing. Steamway is one of the harder ones to get. There we go. See, yeah, they stole from Mesoamerica, didn't they? The Aztec and the Incas and the... Yeah, well... They have done that. Oh, this one's a hard one. Oh, come on. Give me the pub. It's a pub. It's a bar. Come on. There we go. But you can fly over the city as Alliance and not get flagged for PvP. See, look how beautiful that is. That is just freaking gorgeous. But in terms of finding things in the city, those of you who played Locho thought Minas Tirith was bad. This is like 5 billion times worse. Like your flight master, they has to have 2 flight masters to take you from both ends of the city, or to take you from the top tier to the lowest tier. And then the Alliance come in and murders the king, commits regicide. Yeah, I am not a huge fan of the Battle for Azeroth story because Blizzard did some stupid shit back then, and it's mostly because of Alex Afrasiabi, who thankfully no longer works there. I'm just saying. And don't worry about some of those other white lines on the screen. That's actually another add-on that I use, and it's telling me how to find certain things that are hidden behind waterfalls and caves and shit. But we get to listen to this amazing music, and as the evening passes, one thing I don't like about WoW is some years ago they made it so that... Oh, it's a pub. Give me the pub! Oh, for fuck's sake. These are like the worst, honestly. Got that one. Give me that one. Give me that one. It's 2 freaking pubs and they are freaking annoying. You can do a quick stop to get them, but I don't recommend doing this if you're Alliance. Did I do it as Alliance? Hell yes I did. Alright, this one I'm just gonna land for. I don't recommend doing this. Because I can do this because I'm Horde, so. Oh, it's this one? I did get this one as Alliance. There we go. Fuck you. Up in the sky we go. So, but normally I did get that one as Alliance mid-air. But it's a pain in the ass to get. And this one is, you can see there's two, it's a green and yellow. So there's 2 in the same spot. So yeah, there's a lot of jungle stuff here. A lot of, oh hey, gorillas in the mist kind of thing. And yeah, a lot of Inca, Aztec, Maya stuff. In terms of cultural appropriation, which I do not approve of in any way, shape, or form. And if I knowingly do it, then I'm a horrible person, but I don't knowingly do it. So now we're already level 23, and we're only less than an hour into the stream, and I spent the first 20 some odd minutes yapping, so not bad. Not bad at all. So for this, you do wind up going through the Eastern Kingdoms. There's a whole leg of the Eastern Kingdoms. There's a whole leg through Kalimdor. There's a leg through Mist of Pandaria zones. There's a leg through here, Battle for Azeroth. You do go through Outland. You do go through Warlords of Draenor lands as well. And generally you wind up, your last run will be through Northrend. Where rumor has it, the next expansion, The Last Titan, is supposed to be set in Northrend. So this is the pretty part of the Horde side of Battle for Azeroth in terms of landscape. But now we're about to go into the gross part. You got these blood trolls, and this is definitely some cultural appropriation on this one. So very swampy, very jungly. It feels like, you know, you're dealing with like some voodoo in the bayou. Oops, we missed that one. Let's go back. There we go. Hit the 3 button. Jesus Christ. So as I level up, the amount of XP I get per tick increases. It scales. For Battle for Azeroth, it's okay doing it the way it is. But then once you get past a certain level, you want to be in lore walking mode, which will basically scale the XP you get with your level versus scaling it based on what's appropriate for the zone. Because depending on where you're flying, some of the zones are counted as like low B areas, and then you won't get, you know, you won't get as much XP. So by being in Earthen, one of the things I didn't mention in the intro video, and I really should have mentioned, is, yeah, Blood Moon, isn't that cool? Is the reason you do this as Earthen, I did mention that it's because they get the XP boost for exploring that other races don't get. But one of the things a lot of people complain about when discussing this is like, well, screw you. Yeah, you only want to do this, but you're stuck playing in Earthen unless you buy a race change. And it's like, oh, this is just a means for Blizzard to sell race changes. So if people are not going to buy character boost to just boost from 1 to 80, then they'll be more, you know, they'll take the lesser amount, and, you know, they'll be happy to drop $25 to get a race change, and so they can have the name and the class they want. And they're stuck with the classes that Earthen can play, right? So if it's like a druid, well, you're kind of screwed. You can't, because Earthen can't be druid, so I'm kind of out of luck there. It would have been cool to have Earthen druids, though. Whoops. So Vol'dun is the 3rd major zone for Battle for Azeroth for Horde. That is cool. That is freaking cool. But Vol'dun is the home of the Volpera, which are little fox creatures, because, you know, the furries wanted a little something something, so they gave the furries a lot of something something. But one of the things I mentioned that I did not like about the game that they had changed years and years ago is that your day-night cycle is stuck to the day-night cycle based on the server time. So unlike Lotro, which has a day-night cycle that, you know, changes throughout the day, pun intended. If you play at 8 o'clock at night and it's daytime where you are, well, it's always going to be daytime at 8 o'clock in WoW. But typically it's based on 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock is typically when it switches around. But the day-night cycle is a 24-hour cycle. So if you always play during your daytime on the server, you'll always be seeing the daytime. You'll never see the night sky, which is a real freaking shame, especially in some places like High Mountain. High Mountain is gorgeous at night. It is beautiful. There's like a lot of beautiful places in game at night. So if you're always playing during the day, it's always going to be daytime. If you're always playing at night, it's always going to be playing at night. So that's kind of why I shift how I play. Is I don't always. I mean, obviously, most of my game time is during the evenings. Hello, surprise. Hi, Eris. How you doing? Sorry, I'm not watching chat very well because I'm busy trying to keep my character on an even keel, as it were. Because I'm very hard focused on my mini-map. Oops, I missed a spot. I have to go back. Sometimes what I try to do, instead of aiming directly at the spot that I missed, I kind of like to circle around so that by the time I'm done collecting that spot the second time around, or trying to get the spot the second time around, I can immediately just turn and be already on the... How is? I'm power leveling. I've already gotten 18 levels. And we're going to 90. We're not stopping until I hit 90. Until that'll probably take me another, I don't know, 2.5 hours. So get comfy. We're almost done with the Zuldazar leg. And then we'll be going to other lands. But Nazmir is probably one of my least favorite places in the game because the swampiness and the fact that the blood trolls want to, like, you know, there might be a little bit of cannibalism going on there, but they kind of want to use you, sacrifice you for blood rights, and it's kind of creepy ass shit for me. Yeah, it's creepy ass shit. So again, one of the important things is to do is as soon as you hit a green node on the minimap, immediately tap a movement key of some kind. Any of your WASD keys will work. If you use a controller, Y, hit one of your controller buttons. Because I hit the equivalent of the S key. Alright. Now it says to travel to the Great Seal, which is our beautiful capital here in Zuldazar. I'm sorry, Dazar... whatever. Dazaralor. That's the Zuldazar. Well, it is in Zuldazar, but... So, look at this beautiful, beautiful capital city. Worst designed capital city in all of World of Warcraft. Whoops. Alright. We gotta go in here. Alright, we found the Great Seal. We're gonna get dismounted, though. Aren't we? No, we're not. Ha ha ha. Whoa, I didn't want that. I went to the wrong place. Good job, Druid. I need to go to the basement. Actually, since I'm here, I'm just gonna go to the bank. I'm gonna go to the bank, bank. I'm going to actually drop my little icon here. And again, I'd like to point out, I am wearing my heirlooms in some of my starter Earthen gear. You don't need to put on any gear for this at all. So we want to go to Orgrimmar. Is that the mechanic here? Getting all the dots gives you levels? Not as such, Eris Kitty. Basically, you have to be Earthen because they get the 20% XP bonus. I'm sorry, 200% XP bonus for exploring. You get this plug-in, this add-on called Distinct Earthen Skyriding. That puts the thing on the mini-map. Also integrates with TomTom. And now we're going to do the other segment of how this thing works so well. Is we're about to go to places where if I fly around there, since I'm here in the city, I can do this now. Turn off those because they do actually spam the chat to where I can't see the places I've actually been to. Because I actually have, my XP turned on so I see it in chat. So if I need to determine if I accidentally already discovered a location and can right click on it in the add-on, then I will know. Alright, I miss Lore Walker Cho. He's back here. So this is the other thing. When you are lore walking with Lore Walker Cho, it scales the XP that you get for exploration to your level, not to the normal XP you'd get without lore walking when you go to lobby areas. It's really cool. Do I remember who you are? Not a freaking clue. I don't remember. I'm so sorry. Alright. Pick a story, any story, doesn't matter. I always pick the one for Zelatath. And then what you do is you exit. So you leave him to chatter. And then follow where we're going. So he's telling stories and we're not even going to worry about it. Hey, but now we're friendly with it. Because by being in lore walking, it will also help you. It'll give you like certain reputations, so you're friendly with certain people. So that will help you get to some places that you wouldn't normally be able to get to. We're going to go to Silver Moon City. Now, bearing in mind, we're level 29. Silver Moon City is supposed to be for the current expansion level 80 and to 90. So we're going to fly through Silver Moon on the way to the rest of the Eastern Kingdoms, which are normal. You can also talk to Lore Walker Cho here in Silver Moon, but suddenly we're in Silver Moon. Everything, we are so under level to be here. Sabs! Oh, you're plural and started transition. Sabs, it is good to see you, old friend. I remember you well. Alright, so again, everything in this area will murder me. So I do have to keep an eye out for any aggressive mobs in the air. Because they will murder me. I have no gear, but I am also like 50 levels below. So I'm level 30, and this is a level 80 plus zone. So I definitely want to say hi as a kite. There we go. And again, you're not going to follow... One of the important things about this is you're not going to follow every single discovery point in a zone before you move on. This is an optimized path to get you the maximum amount of XP before you move on to the next area. So it's like a greatest hits tour. Whoops, missed that one. So as tempting as it would be to land, and this is where managing your skywriting charges comes in handy, where Druid hasn't done this, and is just gliding and waiting for some charges to come back. Because if I land, something's gonna come out of the woodwork and paste me. Call you Eris now? Okay, I will call you Eris. That is your name. And the pronouns are she and her. Alright, I will try to remember, and I apologize in advance if I slip up. But I will do my best not to. Alright, we're level 31. This one's a little bit tricky to get to. There we go. Look how high we are! Like, for example, we do not even go anywhere near Stratholme for this. We're just gonna fly through, like, the greatest hits of the Eastern Plague Lands. Oops, and the Thalassian Pass is a pain in the ass. Come on! I'm gonna go down here. Get that one. There we go, finally. Yeah, the dot may have not been in exactly. And that's one reason why I have the mini map up, so if I see the name of what it's actually taking me towards, and I see that I'm on the edge of it, then I can kind of curve my, you know, you know, nudge it around to where I'm actually more in the geographic location as presented on the map. That is literally your name set. Okay, it's a nickname you went by. Eris is your first legal name. Alright, you were Eris. Alright. I'm putting myself in mind of that scene in Star Trek Deep Space Nine where Jadzia introduces herself to, who was it, Kor or Kang? I can't remember. But one of Curzon Dax's old Klingon friends. And it was like, Curzon, my old friend. And she goes, it's Jadzia now. And the Klingon goes, Jadzia, our dear old friend. My dear old friend. So I'm figuring if the Klingons can do this in the fucking 90s, I can do it now. I can do it now. What was that? Oh, let's DDO stream. I'm not worried about DDO tonight. Not worried about Locho tonight either. I'm playing a little bit of Warcraft. Yay! Eastern Plaguelands. I once wrote a WoW fanfic that had a character ride across the some of the Eastern Plaguelands looking for somebody. And I used my game knowledge to kind of think about, okay, what did this look like? How long would this take if you're not using a flying mount? You're just riding a horse across the Plaguelands? Is that a wise thing to do? No. You can also see a lot of these places that the dev team never went back to fully develop. It's like, oh, we just got this height map and we don't have anything here. You know somebody who changed their name to Jahia Dax, not Jadzia? Okay. See, names are like, if you choose a name for yourself, it's whatever name you want it to be, right? Like in my case, my real name, which I'm not going to say on the air, thank you very much, is a name that there is a nickname of it that my mom used to use, and I freaking hated her when she, my mom thinks we get along way more than we actually do get along, because I am not her fan. She's a very clingy sort of person. It's like, oh, I miss you. And I thoroughly hate that kind of behavior. But she used to call me a nickname based on my real name that I thoroughly loathed. I hated the nickname. I hated that she would use it. And I kept begging her to stop using it. It's like, that's not my name. Stop calling me that. It took me 20 fucking years for her to acknowledge that, yeah, that wasn't my name and she shouldn't use it. And then I met somebody. There we go. Got it. I missed that one. Circle back. I was at the bulwark. Yeah, the one bulwark is a pain in the ass. You gotta be on the right side. Okay, is it the Horde side or the Alliance side? It's the Alliance. It's the Horde side. I'm sorry. Is it the Horde side or is it the other side? Come on. Oh, for fuck's sake. So we're gonna just land here. We got one of the bulwarks. We didn't get the other one. So I think maybe I just didn't get the one on over this side. There we go. Yeah, it was the one, the empty. So again, this breaks my rule of stay high as you possibly can, because that one is actually kind of tricky, I'll be honest. So this leg, if you're running this as Alliance, especially if you have War Mode on, which you don't need War Mode for this. In fact, War Mode can't help you with the goal here, which is to just get all this XP just by flying around and exploring. War Mode doesn't help with exploring XP. Running this as Alliance is interesting. Then again, you get to run through like Elwyn Forest as Horde, so, you know. You don't have to fly over Orgrimmar, you don't have to fly over Stormwind. But you do have to fly over a few places. There are a few places you might get flagged for PvP if you're not careful. But if you fly high enough, you won't actually get flagged for PvP. Or it won't matter if you get flagged. You deleted the wrong character. Okay, gotcha. So they named themselves after Terry Farrell's character. Okay. I don't know if I would ever have the brass to rename myself after something else, because I've never felt that another name suited me. But to get back to my story about my name and my mom using the nickname that I thoroughly loathe, is the nickname forms there is a comic book character who shares my first name, and that character has a somewhat love interest who calls her that name, the nickname, honestly as a way to kind of rile her up, you know. But because I like the ship, I allow it from somebody whose nickname is that other character's nickname. So it's like the love interest nickname, and he's the one person on the planet who's allowed to use my disliked nickname because it works for the joke, right? It works for our friendship. Him and his wife are awesome. I love them to bits and bits and bits. So he's the only person who's allowed to call me by the nickname that my mom. Nobody else on the planet is allowed to call me that. Because it's not my name. So this leg, the Eastern Kingdoms and the... As you can imagine, Eastern Kingdoms and the Kalimdor legs of this are very long. So it's okay to, like, if you need to, like, chill out and just stop for a while, there's a lot to do. On the other hand, by the time I get done with this leg, we started at what, 29? No, we were 29. Yeah, we were 29 when we went to Silver Moon, so now we're 35 already. Well, not to seriously rile her up. It's like when she's focused and he uses it, it does irritate her sometimes, but she also doesn't like knock him into the next century for doing so. So she allows it as well, even though sometimes it does irritate her. Sometimes it doesn't, and she's cool with it. So one of the things about this adventure and doing this sort of tour of these older areas in the game is it kind of made me a little nostalgic. It's like I want to go questing in these areas. I miss these characters and I miss these quest lines and stuff. And so all of a sudden it's like, should I play WoW Classic? What? But some of them aren't in classic realms. Like, okay, I don't currently have any desire to play through Mists of Pandaria again because I played Mist Remix. Same with Legion. Legion is a great expansion. I just would not want to play through it again because I have just played through Legion Remix recently. Like in the past 6 months. I don't know whenever the hell Legion Remix was going on. It wasn't that long ago. It was like December? Ended in December? Something like that. 37. So yeah, the other night when I was, I finished one character to level 80. Or I'm sorry, level 90. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm done for the night. But I still had like an hour and a half before bedtime. And I'm like, you know what? I'll start the next character. I'll just finish it tomorrow. And in about an hour and a half, I had that character from level 10 to 63. It was kind of cool. So yeah, the path that they take you on is like you're hitting the corner of the discovery spot, which is why you have to hit a key that kind of tells the game that, oh hey, I'm in this spot. Hold on, I'm looking at something. Alright, I missed something. That's okay. So, I had a little chat with Lotra's community manager earlier today. We talked about the Pac-Man Fender Telecaster that I saw in somebody's Blue Sky feed, and I'm like, hey, Jerry, you need one of these. Or I didn't actually say you needed one of these. I just basically, because it costs $1,000, like $1,100. So I was like, yeah, you're not going to whip out your credit card for that shit. But we had a little chat about guitars. He said, yeah, I probably wouldn't, if I were to buy a guitar, I probably wouldn't be a Telecaster. I'm like, okay, well, what would you buy? And I don't think he really thought about it, because I don't think he expected me to throw the question back at him. Ha ha ha, sucker. But I mentioned that I actually own a Fender Stratocaster that I bought in college. There was a very small music shop, a music store on, it was on Beaver Avenue. It wasn't on College Avenue. Very small. I think it was called Music Mart or something. Yeah, don't fly too high because it does waste your charges. Because you have to use your charges to maintain altitude. And since I'm on a horde character, I can't stop and visit one of my favorite NPCs in the game, which is a dwarf named Russell Brower. In homage to the former composer of World of Warcraft. And he once told me that he's like, did they have to make him a dwarf? I'm all his old Twitter handle used to be Horde Land. He was all about the Horde. He didn't give a shit about the Alliance. These days, we just trade cat pictures. There we go, level 39. And we're still in like the Twilight Highlands. We're hardly anywhere in the south. We're still in the way north of the of this stuff. He could have been an orc, right, Clench? He should have been an orc. He's good people, though. Sadly, I don't get to talk to him on Twitter anymore. I just text him. I think I've known him for, what, 10 years now? No, I think it's been more than 10. I think I met him at BlizzCon 2015. It was the year I also met Mike Morheim. Once got to talk to Mike Morheim about his love of Weird Al Yankovic, which is why one year they had Weird Al as the musical guest at BlizzCon, and everyone's like, what the fuck is this? And then they listened to Al, and they're like, holy shit, he's so cool! I'm like, told ya. What they don't know is Weird Al actually does some charity work on the side. He actually, there's a CD out there called Laughter is a Powerful Weapon Volume 2. There was a Volume 1. And I was one of the producers of that album. Actually, the album was my idea. And we wound up raising like over $5,000 for the American Red Cross in the wake of Hurricane Katrina. And Weird Al had donated a remastered track of one of his songs to the album. And after, the project shut down, we took care of business, did the donation. See, I'm a horde. And I'm in Dwarf Central. I'm in Earthen. I'm one of the people who's the ancestors of the dwarves. I had the opportunity to meet him after one of his shows up in my state, and not the State of Confusion. That's a Genesis song. That's the Land of Confusion, though. That's a wonderful album. And I thanked him. I brought a copy of the album for him to sign, my copy of the CD, and I thanked him very much for helping us because his being on the project definitely raised it a little bit and got us some donations we would not have otherwise gotten. So I thanked him for helping us, do as good as we did. And he very genuinely and very humbly thanked me for, even though I wasn't personally responsible for him being on the project, just saying. He thanked me for letting him help. Weird Al, he's such a homie. He's such a good dude. And one of my former coworkers um, is in the 501st and was invited a couple of times to be on stage when Weird Al would play Saga Begins. You know, you have a row of stormtroopers in the back with their buckets on and everything. And Al apparently, every time he had a group there, no matter what town he was in, he would memorize the real names and the TK numbers of all the people in the 501st who were on stage with him and could recognize the troopers with their buckets on. Now, bearing in mind, these are stormtroopers. They're supposed to look all the same, other than, you know, minor things of height and weight and whatnot. But he took the time to memorize who everybody was and would actually greet them by their either their TK number or their real name. 42. The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. You know, my email account is so old, I still have Douglas Adams' CompuServe address in my Linux address book. From back in the college days when he would answer random fan mail from random college students in America. Man, if there is somebody who deserves... Well, I wouldn't say necessarily deserves to be alive today, because holy shit, who would want to be alive today? Because the world was a dumpster fire. But, man, he was taken from us way too soon. Fuck heart attacks. Or Tauren, which is best. I love Tauren. I have a couple of really cool named Taurens as well. Thought the dwarves were stone brought to life by Sargeras. I think Earthen were like dwarves 1.0, and dwarves are basically Earthen who got infected with a curse of flesh, as it were. Which kind of makes the whole mecha gnome thing kind of weird if you think about it, even though they're gnomes and not dwarves. But it's like, yeah, we want to be machines. I'm like, dude, you're the freaking Cybermen from Doctor Who. I do not have a mecha gnome on my account. I played one long enough to unlock the heritage armor, whatever I need to unlock mecha gnomes, but I do not have one. I also don't have a Maghar orc on my account because fucking Blizzard fucking bastardized and ruined my girl Yrel, the only original Alliance character of any note in Warlords of Draenor. And only as a plot stick as to why the Maghar orcs needed to be rescued by the Horde. And the game can't be brave enough to let orcs be part of the Alliance, or to let, you know, anything like humans to be part of the Horde other than Nathana's Blightcaller. But what happened to Yrel and the way they freaking violated that character just for the sake of having an excuse for Maghar orcs to be in the game as playable and playable by the Horde. Now, here's the thing, is these days, it's like, well, look at this light-blinded shit. And I'm sure there are some people saying, well, we predicted what would happen to your Lightforged Draenei and your Army of the Light in Midnight. Also, I'm going to post up a theory here, kids. I'm going to call it now. I'm probably wrong, but I'm going to call it now. I say every race will get to be a paladin in the Last Titan. Because the Titans are all about order. Right? And and the light has need of an army. Why? Because they just nuked the last one. So all of a sudden, the light needs a new army. Because the void just freaking annihilated its army and turned its army against each other. With the light blinded. Like, the whole story of Terralion and Erator. And it's like, they just crisped a ton of really cool named light characters, paladins and priests and whatnot. And I'm thinking, well, anybody can be a paladin. If you can wield the light, you can be a fucking paladin. See also Delas Moonfang from Legion, who goes through an on-camera story explaining why, telling her story of her being a moon priestess, a night elf moon priestess, who suddenly feels a calling to the light to become a paladin. Slap on some armor and take an oath, you're a paladin. Now, you'd be like, but void elves, how can a void elf be a paladin? Well, how can a void elf be a fucking priest either? They're not all shadow priests. I mean, that's the obvious is, void elves can wield shadow magic. They're all shadow priests. No, they're not. You can have a holy void elf priest. You can have a disciplined void elf priest. So, I think Blizzard needs to get off their ass and give everybody paladins in the next expansion. And be like, but the lore, we don't want to upset the lore. I'm like, dude, you just gave devout and void elves demon hunters. Come on. You can make the lore whatever you damn well want it to say. It's like, you write the lore. Oh, shit. I missed that one. Oh, no, I got it. You write the lore. You can change it to be whatever you want it to be to justify whatever you want to do for gameplay. Gameplay first is why in Legion, the Alliance got screwed by Blizzard Entertainment. The Alliance had to work their asses off to become exalted with the Nightborn elves in order to get their helmet for their Order Hall transmog. So we're all busting our asses helping the Nightborn, and it's because of the meta plot that Blizzard said, "Oh no, sorry, the Nightborn are gonna go to the Horde just because, for reasons." And completely throwing away all the hard work that all of the Alliance players had done working for the Nightborn, when they could have taken the Nightborn and made them a two-faction class like the Earthen. Oh, by the way, the Earthen are dwarves. Dwarves are a staunch Alliance race. So it's okay to take a Horde race, a traditional Horde race, and make them Alliance. Or let some of their options be Alliance, and nobody gives a shit. Except people who don't want to have people have fun. I don't know. Lake Ridge. Level 49. Look at that. And we're only an hour and a half into the stream. So I'm ranting tonight while I'm flying because these are topics. I even have a paper that I wrote. I published it on some site or other. It's not. I don't think it's up anymore. But I published an article once about how the Alliance got boned by Blizzard during Legion, and the whole idea of Nightborn getting thrust over into the Horde for off-camera, non-gameplay reasons when it was convenient. So the whole notion of allied races is a really cool idea, except both of the Horde's allied races were known about during the initial launch of the game. Level 50. Only 40 more levels to go. So we're halfway there technically because we started at level 10. So we've gained 40 levels in the past hour and a half, including me yapping before I started the run. I should have put a timer on when I actually began the run. Began the run. Alright, let's go through the dark portal. Time to go to Outland. Boom. Alright. Except we're not going to Outland just yet. We went through the dark portal that leads to Draenor. And we're going to listen to this beautiful piece of music by Mr. Russell Brower. It's called Magnificent Desolation. He was quoting Buzz Aldrin. This is probably one of my favorite pieces of music in all of World of Warcraft. I love it so much. Alright, let's go. Upsy doodles. So I was actually getting a little nostalgic for playing through Warlords again, because I kind of actually like the Warlords story now that it's not covered with a content drought. I mean, the actual story in Warlords is really good. The only thing that pisses me off about Warlords more than anything else besides what happened to Yrel after Warlords. Whoops, we missed the thing. Gotcha. Nope. Hold. There we go. Got it. Sometimes the actual openings of the mines are kind of rough to get to. The one thing that I didn't like about Warlords wasn't even about Warlords itself. Was about the first time I went to Outland to Shadow Moon Valley after I played through Warlords. Because Warlords Shadow Moon Valley is gorgeous. And to know what Gul'dan did to it in Outland, in the Prime reality, Prime timeline, I'm like, you motherfucker. You mother puss bucket. But I would actually like to play through Warlords again. However, Warlords this particular week is on blah, 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 blah. Time walking. For me, this is actually faster than time walking for leveling by far. Now, one other thing that can make this, I didn't mention this in the main part of the video, I should probably do that, is I'm not doing this with any XP boosters, such as the Dark Moon Fair boost or anything like that. There are also Turbulent Timeways XP pots, but as far as I know, they don't work on exploration deeds. They only work on killing things and turning in quests. Whoops, I almost ran right into that. Ascent of Frostfire. I did actually have a Magheart orc named Frostfire once during Warlords Remix. But going through this adventure of leveling by going to these old lands that I haven't been to in forever, I kind of did get nostalgic for playing through that content. Level 53. Easy peasy. Whoops, I missed that one. I hit the wrong button. There we go. And one time I was flying through the spires of Arak, and I was like, whoa, nobody killed Rookmar? Nobody's waiting on Rookmar anymore? Yeah, we hardly do anything here in Gorgrond. We just do a little bit and then we go away. So yeah, this is an optimized route. It does not take you through every last single place to go. So I don't get to listen to all like the coolest music that I'm waiting to hear. Like there's a particular song called Old Growth that plays in certain places in the Spires of Arak, and I love it. And I don't even know why I like it. It's just dun dun dun, and it's like somebody playing like that little stick on the ribbed musical instrument. Dun 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 dun. It's this weird tune that we're going into the non-jungle where Hellfire Citadel is. But yeah, the real downside is the fact that you're flying so high you don't really get to look at the lands below you. You can only kind of see some of it as you're passing, especially if you're focusing on the minimap like I am. That's why I'm only looking up a chat once in a while. Boom. Level 55, 55. But man, when I compare OG Shadow Moon to Warlord Shadow Moon, I'm like, look at you dead to my portrait. And of course, me being a Draenei main, I'm like, you motherfucker. Draenei got the shaft on everything. Though I did actually like a little bit of Draenei's side story in Voidstorm in Midnight. I'm not going to tell you in it, but I'll tell you there's a little bit of Draenei. There's a little Draenei side story that you get a slightly different dialogue if you are Draenei. I always like little touches like that. To make you feel like your race actually, the race that you chose actually has some bearing on the game. Even if it's in such a minor way, honestly. I mean, Valen lost his son. He lost many of his people. What are we looking for? Draka's dead. There we go. But you look at Draenor here, and you see what the Draenei have now. It makes their tragedy in Burning Crusade even worse. Because it's like they have so little in Burning Crusade. And they had a home here. They had a home in Warlords. You know, they had a culture, they had a people who weren't necessarily living in fear. And then the orcs had to go and ruin it. That isn't even talking about freaking Garrosh traveling in the past and causing this alternate reality. I'm still a little confused about the Draenor we hang out in during Warlords of Draenor. See, Shadow Moon is so gorgeous. It's very blue, too. That might be part of why I like it so much. Oh man, I can't wait till we start getting some proper Draenei stuff for housing. I still haven't set foot inside housing. I still haven't done it. I need to do that at some point. I've been busy leveling my main and getting my main solo level. Oh, why do I have that thing on my icon? Oh, must have been some quest that I'm not doing. getting my main to eye level 262, so completely solo. Other than back at a day I was doing a lot of LFRs, but now it's like LFR doesn't do it for me. I should be running normal raids, heroic raids, but I would have to pug them, and I'm not sure I'm up to pugging raids. And honestly, all the good shit. If you really want some myth track gear, you have to run mythic 10s or higher. I need to start doing mythic 10 or mythic in general. I've never run a mythic plus anything. See, look. This is Karabor. This eventually becomes the Black Temple. Look how beautiful this is. It's so sad what happens to it. Just look how beautiful that is. And like the Janire basically like, look, we left Argus because we didn't want to be part of the Legion. We wanted to go chill on our own and mind our own beeswax and be a peaceful people. And well, the Legion didn't like that very much, did they? Legion said, "Fuck you, Janire. We're gonna take away everything you ever loved. I'm gonna chase you for thousands of years across the stars." All because you told Kil'jaeden and Archimonde that no, you should not listen to Sargeras. But no. What did Kil'jaeden and Archimonde do? They listened to Sargeras like dummies. And doomed their entire people. Ah. Oh, for fuck's sake. There we go. Looks like this person might be doing the same thing. Oh, we missed a spot. That tree's so pretty. So, you might wonder, like, what mount is that? This is the Arcano Void something something. The Arcano Void construct, and the only way to get it is to complete the Nemesis fight for Delves this season, Season 1 Delves, on the double question mark difficulty, which is basically tier 11. Or is it tier 10? I think it's tier 11. And honestly, the fact that I have it means the fight's too damn easy. The fight was not difficult at all. And the reason it's not difficult at all is this season, Valera Sanguinar is a beast if you are a healer. Because you set her as DPS and use the ping system to tell her to attack things, and she will basically just clean everybody's clock. You just stand back and heal her. I think this is actually the beginning of the old growth piece of music, but we're not going to be here long enough for it to actually continue playing. Okay, there's one point of interest that I've never gotten to actually take, and it's here, but for some reason I've never actually... See, there's Rookmar. I'm actually going to skip Ravager Den even though I don't have it on my XP list. Because I have yet to ever have that thing kick off. So I just, instead of wasting time on it, I just like, fuck it. I'll just take an extra node at the end of the list or something. We're getting almost to the end of our run through Warlord's content. We're at level 63. Admiral Taylor. Speaking of Alliance characters who got boned, oh my god, poor Admiral Taylor. He was so cool in the lead up to. Alright, we're going to exit Lore Walking, which is going to take us right back to Orgrimmar. You're welcome. Then we go again. We're going to go through Mist's content, Mist areas. And you can just redo the same story. He's going to start it and you can just run away. Run away until you're far enough away from Lord Master Cho to just hop on your mount and go again. So yeah, this mount is a cool mount. These are my colors, honestly. It's blue and silver. All the Void cosmetics have been really, really good. I've really liked them a lot. Many of my characters are now wearing the Void Breaker outfits that you could farm up by doing the gathering all the elves storyline. Alright, this one can be a little tricky because okay, take the portal of Jade Force, already did it. So it wants you to go to the honeydew farm, okay, which is over here. And I want you to go to the glade. Or to the river. Alright, and then I want you to go to the glade. But the glade is under the ship. Right? Okay, you pretty much have to be on the ground for that one to work. Because if you start flying, it's going to port... It's going to... See, it's going to do that. It's going to port you onto the ship. So you need to fly away from the ship. Because it wants you to do the story. And I'm like, I don't want to do the story. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I'm busy. It's over here. And we're going to go up. And we're going to get on our path. There we go. 64. When I've been older, losing my hair many years ago. No, 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 no. Ah! God damn it. Alright. Okay, so that's not the Den of Defiance. Hello? There, we got it. Sometimes you gotta quadruple tap that shit. The Nook of Conch. So this is definitely one of those things that you just want to be as flying high as possible because of the elevations of the landscape is just going to be all over the place, so... We get to listen to the peaceful music. I love the music in Pandaria. I'm just like, I played through Mist Remix. I don't want to do this story again. So what you doing, chat? What are you up to? You're awfully quiet. I don't trust it when you're quiet. It's like when Stormloss is quiet. She's either sleeping or she's plotting shenanigans. I think she's eeping right now, though. Stormlost! Then after a while, it's like, oh my god, can I be done with this? This is probably... I wouldn't necessarily say this was the last character I'm going to level like this. I might actually take a couple of my 80s and run them to 90 doing this method. They won't do as well as this character is on the XP front because they don't have the Earthen 200% bonus to exploration XP. But it will still be a good time. But one of the downsides is once you get to level 90 on this character, you have no gear for it. Unless you've got a warband stash already waiting for you. Or you are a crafter and you can just make yourself some gear. Or you just buy some greens off the auction house and then start gearing up that way. You're in Classic playing a Dwarf Pally in Darkshore. One question I've never gotten an answer to from, or have seen in an official post from Blizzard is that that promo they're doing for the Burning Crusade Classic, where if you play the midnight intro sequence, you can go then take a character to an innkeeper in the major city in BTC Classic, TBC Classic, and get yourself a blue Dragonhawk mount. What we don't know yet is for accounts that have already unlocked that on a couple of characters, will future characters also be able to stop by the innkeeper and get that mount? So is it an unlock that sticks with your account, or does it only work for characters that have been created before the promo ends on the 17th? We don't know the answer to that question unless they post it in the past few hours. So this is really gorgeous landscape. I mean, the landscapes that they made for Battle for Azeroth, they really stepped up their game. I mean, obviously it was based on a fantasy stylized Chinese culture, Chinese iconography, Chinese style and aesthetic. In music, I mean, the music is straight up. But in terms of how they adapted the colors, the patterns, and how they built the actual world, this is honestly kind of where Blizzard leveled up that sort of game. Like they said, okay, we can do our physical world building better now. Let's go. And they did. They really made the landscapes here. Each zone was very different from each other. Like Jade Forest doesn't look like the Valley of the Four Winds. Dread Waste doesn't look like nothing like anything else here. Especially with all the Claxy stuff going on. I mean, it kinda did look a little bit like Town Long Steps, but they had to make it all blue. They'd have to, do the scary sky and shit. Also, one reason why you should fly high is if you don't fly high enough, you get stuck in the tree branches. This also becomes important when you're flying through Ashenvale, I'm just saying. Level 69. Nice. So I created 4 characters in TBC Classic and ran their asses to their capitals to pick up the mount from the innkeeper. And I have to say, probably the worst one. I think probably the longest one was Forsaken. I did a Forsaken, a Blood Elf, a Draenei, and a Human. Human obviously was the easiest. I think Draenei might have actually been the most difficult because it was the only one where you directly had to run through aggressive mobs, like level 3 mobs in Almond Vale. You couldn't leave Almond Vale without, aggressive mobs there. They're not like that now. In modern WoW, those mobs are not aggressive. I mean, you can definitely fly lower if you want to like sightsee more while you're doing this. Um, but some of the discovery nodes are a lot harder to get. For some, it's actually really weird that some of the discovery nodes are more difficult to get when you're flying low because you have to be more precise. For some reason, when you're this high up, the game doesn't quite care as much where you are in relation to the node. It's just like, okay, you're close enough. Who cares? We don't care. This is definitely going to be my quickest run yet. Because I have my full 25% mentoring bonus active to level 90. My previous run, I had it active until level uh, 80, and then from 80 to 90, I had a 20% bonus. 71. I think we might be close to 80 or 82 by the time we get out of here. Maybe question mark. Maybe not. We're only 71 though. And we're almost halfway through this particular run. Oops. Circle around. Oh my gosh. I feel like, I don't know. I don't want to say I feel like a cold coming on because that's gonna suck. So Saturday will be like the first Saturday where I don't have any plans for like a few weeks. No moots, no space showcase. I can just sleep in if I want to. But I actually might go out. I might go up to Jungle Gyms and splurge a tiny bit and maybe get some pork belly or something and make some chicharrones. I want to make some chicharron so badly. And get some more of my favorite some of my favorite snacks that are not local to my country. But not many. Again, I don't have like tons of money floating around. All right, we're at 73. Good going. How are we doing on time? 2 hours. We've hit 63 levels in 2 hours, and that includes a whole long time yapping at the very beginning. Tavern in the Mist, where we met Rathion. And yeah, as you can see, you don't have to land anywhere for the most part. There's only a couple of tricky spots that would make you land. But I think that was more to user error necessarily than the fact that the spots were bad. Oops. Oh, we got it. We missed that one. Can't nuka. I did actually kind of feel bad for the Horde. Because in Mists of Pandaria, the Alliance got the Noble Jinyu as their best allies. Is the race they hung out with the most in early days before everybody met the pandas. And the Horde got basically monkeys. They got these crude monkeys who like to throw shit at things. Alright, Kunlai Summit, where we have to be careful with some of our charges here. Yeah, one time I rolled through here and the Shaw of Anger popped up. And I'm like, fuck. I ain't got time. Ain't got gear to kick his ass. Well, I wouldn't even be like Mary Brandybuck trying to get the Witch King in the back of his knee. I didn't have like a special elvish blade to stick him in the back with. Oops, missed that one. I didn't have a chance to tap him. Well, that one always, the Prankster's Hollow always takes a little bit to do. There we go. The Yak Wash! Don't forget the Yak Wash! Alright, 77. Man, I missed the big 67 joke earlier. Damn it. But I didn't miss nice. God damn it. Look over here. Circle back. Come on. You can do these out of order, by the way. Just because one is white and not green, you can still do a white node before it's... Because the green only tells you which one is supposed to be next. You notice how I carefully guided myself so I was already high enough to get the Mount Everest one? Yeah. 78. All right. And exit time walking. Don't abandon your run.
Thank you for listening to my tale, friend.
All right. I'm gonna take a quick stretch. Reseat myself. Ignore that it wants me to choose my hero talents. Because I don't care. Back in. Let's go. Always be learning. Alright, so this is the Kalimdor run. You don't have to fly too high for this route because it's mostly horde territory. And again, you can see the route on your map. It's easier when you're looking at just the local map versus like the entire continental map. Level 79. Yeah, this is definitely one of those ones where you need to save your charges right there. And you don't even go into Winter Spring at all. There's no, the path doesn't take you anywhere near. That's the closest you get to Winter Spring, basically. Oops. Oh, it's a good thing that I'd saved my my whirling surge, because that tree limb got in my damn way. Whoops. I missed a turn. Missed a spot. There you go. Neil Acree has a BlizzCon badge with that literal piece of music on it. It's called Night Song that he wrote. And he gave me a copy of the score, and I put the music on his BlizzCon badge that I made from that year. He's good people. Yeah, Rim of the World. And now, this is the part where you want to be careful. Because you want to dive. Dive, dive, dive! Because if you're flying too high, when you get to Fellwood, you will get dismounted and you will fall and die. Ask me how I know. I'm just saying it might have happened. I'm realizing, like, I'm fading into the background. Oh, I think it's probably because of all the green in Fellwood. I'm like, why am I, like, half here? There we go. Yeah, once I'm a little less bright green on the screen, reflecting back into my room. Alright, then Dark Shore down, or then down into Dark Shore. Also, can I just say, ah, the poor night elves. It's kind of like if you play through the Battle of Lordaeron. Oh man, seriously. The Maw of the Void is like right here, but Cliff Spring River is like over here. The Night Warrior. And the Ashy Remains of Teldrassil. It's such a powerful image, too. And it's one of those things, one of those story beats, where it's like the player characters get to decide what they did during this event. Much like the Battle of Lordaeron, is like, well, do you put on the packs of blight? Are you there, you know, killing things? Are you blighting things? And not even my most faction happy characters would strap on those tanks. None of my Horde characters are going to be Sylvanas loyalists. And part of that is I completely do not like the character Sylvanas. I love Patty Mattson, her voice actress. I've met her in real life at BlizzCon once. She's a sweetheart. And she plays Sylvanas very, very, very well. I just freaking don't like the character. I think part of it is because of what Blizzard did to the character. And part of that was Alex Afrasiabi being Alex Afrasiabi. And I'll be honest, some of it is partly due to the fandom. The Sylvanas loyalists who cannot, the ones that cannot accept that you don't like Sylvanas, that you must obviously be a hater, that you must obviously hate them if you don't like Sylvanas. The ones who have like internalized Sylvanas' abuse, they themselves may have been through some shit in their lives as well, and so that's why they identify with Sylvanas and why she resonates with them. But on some level, I just can't get behind that. It's when the fandom decides to treat other people It's like shipping fandoms, honestly. It's a lot of the same behaviors, but it's a little bit more personal, a little bit more intense with Sylvanas because she was a character who was treated so very badly. Not disputing that in the slightest. And I'm not saying her fandom in general are, bad people or anything like that. I just think there are some of them who took the fandom a little too seriously and who treat non-fans very poorly. See also the Firefly fandom. Like, if you tell an ardent Firefly supporter that show bored you to tears twice, they look at you like you just, kicked their firstborn in the head or something. A lot of the Firefly fans do not react well to finding out the person they're speaking to is not an ardent supporter of their show. It's like, I tried to watch it when it was first on. Back before everybody knew that Joss Whedon was a real piece of shit. I tried to watch it a second time after the fandom became the fandom and gave the fandom a bad name. And treated people like shit for not liking their fandom or their show. Like, oh my god, you don't love Firefly? How dare you, you heathen, you Philistine, well, you can't blaspheme against something you didn't believe in, right? But it really was that zealotry that just drove me up the wall. I'm like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of this. So if somebody asks my honest opinion of Firefly, I will tell them. I ain't afraid to tell them. See, level 81. We're not even done with this area, with Kalimdor by any stretch of imagination. But the same goes for Sylvanas. Is like there is a segment of the fandom. I'm not saying it's the majority. I'm not saying it's most. I'm just saying there is a segment. I don't know how big it is. I've never done the calculations. Don't care. Either way. That will treat you very, very poorly if you don't love Sylvanas as much as they do and do not defend Sylvanas and her actions as much as they do. So I just don't like. I'm with Saurfang. Saurfang knew what it meant to be the Horde. For a long time, Sylvanas was written to where the Horde was. She didn't care about them. Now, you can probably dig up some non-game specific lore in books or whatever that says, oh, she actually did care about the Horde as more than just instruments of her will, blah, blah, blah. That she didn't really want to be war chief or whatever. But unfortunately, all you have to... It's kind of like people who hate Jaina Proudmoore. It's like, well, if all you have to defend the actions of your character did not happen in the game, well, you ain't got shit to defend your character, because the game comes first. And so you can come up with all kinds of lore to justify what Jaina and Varisa did during the Purge of Dalaran. But they still haven't seen any real consequences for what they did, the Purge of Dalaran. And one of the big differences is I acknowledge there should have been consequences to both of them for the Purge of Dalaran. About the only consequence Varisa got was her husband got killed. When he tried to save Theramore from the mana bomb. But Jaina never saw any real consequences for the Purge of Dalaran, and she was not right to commit to the Purge of Dalaran. I am not one of those people who like to say my favorites can do no wrong. I like Jaina more or less, but I can't condone what she did. Unlike some Sylvanas loyalists saying that she was justified in ordering the burning of Teldrassil. And that's one thing that that I personally believe in is that if my favorites do something wrong, you gotta call them out on it. You can't just say, "Oh, my people can never do anything wrong," or try to do all kinds of mental gymnastics to say why what they did was right, or that it didn't happen the way I thought it happened, or whatever. I just on some level, it's like, yeah, they did something evil. They should see consequences for it. And I would have to say Sylvanas is not seeing any proper consequences for her action. Whether she's truly remorseful, I can't I don't know for sure. Okay, this one is one I typically wind up having to land to get it to take. Because this spot is not the right spot for this to happen. Even though it shows up and it says, hey, you're in the right spot, you're not. Man, I love this mount so much. Actually, it's like when I get closer to this place is when I typically get, see? Razorfen Downs is a weird one. Like, for this run, you don't even go into Feralis, or Silithus, or any of those other places. Decilis is the furthest south that you go on that side of the continent. So Holly, what'd you have for supper? So I'm gonna change the topic because I've been ranting, and ranting makes my throat dry. What's been for supper? I had the delightful orange chicken that I discovered. That it's a new product, so they keep doing like $2 off, like in a package that's normally like $8.50. And they normally have been making it like $6.50 as an introductory kind of deal for the first few weeks. So I've been grabbing that, and it's so freaking good. And they put so much orange sauce. They like give it like each box has like 3 packets, so you can literally drown the chicken, the breaded chicken, in this orange sauce. I'm like, it only for me. I like a lighter sauce flavor on my chicken. Um, I don't like to drown my food in sauce. Yeah, so the Horde run doesn't even take you into Zul'Farrak. The Alliance one does, though. The Alliance one also takes you into Uldum a different way. Hi, Argus, star in the sky. Though I wonder how come that's Argus and it's so damn bright. When Argus did not look that damn bright when I played through it. I'm just saying. Yeah, the other thing that pissed me off about how the Draenei were treated and stuff in Legion, and how the Alliance got screwed when it came to again, the Hordes, both of the Hordes allied races were known about and played with all this great story and stuff and all these wide open cool landscapes to encounter them in. And we didn't even know about the two races that would become the Alliance allied races because they didn't even come in until the Argus patch. Void Elves, which nobody wanted. Now everybody wants to be a Void Elf. And there's no way on God's green earth that you can convince me that when they invented Void Elves for Legion as an allied race when everybody in the Alliance wanted High Elves for real, honestly. There's nothing you can do to convince me that Blizzard knew back in Legion development era, which was of course a few years before Legion came out, that these Void Elves, which honestly kind of feels like they pulled that out of their ass mid expansion development. There's nobody can tell me that they were planning the whole midnight shit and all the void shit that we're dealing with now based on the Void Elves of Legion. No. You can't, there's nothing you can do to convince me of that. I don't believe it. I don't believe you. That Will Ferrell meme. Watch out for the Great Worm from beyond because he'll debuff you. And if you stay close enough, he will take away your health. So fly away, come fly away with me, lad. So yeah, the Horde got their allied races that were known from the beginning. Everybody had the experience of, interacting with these characters, liking these characters. The High Mountain Tauren and the Nightborn. You had to literally work. You had to work with the Nightborn to complete the story sequence. You only had to do some stuff with the High Mountain, and then both Alliance allied races were just pulled out of their ass. And I was like, when's an elf? Well, it's not the elves we wanted. They're Void Elves, okay, they're kind of blue, alright. They don't have too many character customizations at the time. And they could be all of the cool classes, like I want them to be Paladin. Oh, but they can't wield the light. Why not? They can be priests. Everybody can be priests. Come on. And then Lightforged Draenei. I mean, they're so forgettable that I literally had just forgotten them, and it's like whatever. And again, I don't think that they had Lightforged Draenei and the Light Blinded now. They did not have the stuff in Midnight in the works. I don't believe it that they had any of that stuff in the works when they were making those races for Legion. And so it's like the Horde allied races, you do all of these story things with them, and it's so rich, and you didn't have to grind to get exalted with them. Whereas the Lightforged and the Void Elves were just kind of shoved in there mid expansion in a patch. Holly had Costco chicken, tater salad, and cucumber. I don't think I've ever set foot in a Costco in my life. I might have done like once. I don't remember. All right. I'm just taking a few seconds to wave my wrists around because they hurt. Because I've been holding down my right click over here. Alright. Okay, so we got chat to go. So again, we have to reactivate our lower walking. So let's talk to Lower Walker Cho.
Every good story needs a hero.
Exit our table. And then it will tell you even to go downstairs and then head downstairs some more. I actually kind of like that. Head downstairs and head downstairs some more. Alright. Have to watch the big after the stream. So we're going to do Outland. And then after that, I think it'll send us to Northrend, and that should do it, because we're at level 82. Whoops, head downstairs. Again. It's one of the downsides of having your mini-map, like, right in front of you. Apparently, because I have Devilor's channel up on another tab, I've earned 2 Subnautica emotes. No, an emote and then something, I guess, in-game for Subnautica. That's funny. Alright, let's get back to it. Alright, here's a doll. And I'm actually going to mount up and run across the room. Because I have long learned... One thing I dislike about skywriting is just how far up you jump when you leap up into the sky. And if you do it in here, you're going to conk your head on the ceiling. Alright, let's go. Blue, Zanger Marsh is very blue. It's berry blue. We don't even go through most of Zanger Marsh. We don't even go through most of Nagrand. But man, I remember the first time I stepped through the dark portal into Outland. I was like, whoa. This is like a truly alien world. Because vanilla areas still had the sun and the moon and normal blue skies like you see, in real life. I mean, you had the blasted lands, right? And there were some places that looked a little otherworldly, but this is otherworldly. This is also back in the days when you couldn't fly anywhere, and only, like the Throne of Kill Jade, you could only get to it by flying. The same with Skedis, which we'll go here to in a little bit. Yeah, the Outland leg is not very big, honestly. But then again, Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor are the two biggest single legs of this adventure. Everything else is much smaller because there's only one expansion's worth of content here, as opposed to both of those having multiple expansions worth of content in them. Because they had Classic, they had Burning Crusade, with the Silver Moon City stuff. R.I.P. the Ghostlands. The Ghostlands were freaking cool in Burning Crusade after spending so much time in Eversong Woods. These beautiful elf lands, beautiful music, and all of a sudden you're hanging out with ghosts and ghouls and the Scourge, and oh my god, the troll's over there. And things are blue, and it's sickly, and oh my god, there's the Dark Scar. So yeah, once you get to 80, you do need to have your 25% XP boost going, because it's just based on the amount of XP you need to get from level to level. It does go slower from 80 to 90, even with the mentoring boost going. It would go a lot faster if it was Dark Moon Fair time. And yeah, Silver Moon, or I'm sorry, Shadow Moon. When you look at it now, like when you first played Burning Crusade, you're like, oh man, this must have been so beautiful. And then you look at the Black Temple, and you remember what Karabor looked like. And you even find a point of interest called the Ruins of Karabor, because we all know that's the Black Temple's OG name. I mean, it's in Burning Crusade lore. That's what the Black Temple used to be called. Karabor. But Warlords of Draenor showed us what it used to be, and so it makes this even more tragic, because now we know, as opposed to having just heard the story. It's like, oh, Karabor used to be this beautiful place, da 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 da, but it didn't really sink home the way it did until you went and played Warlords of Draenor and you saw how beautiful it was. And it's almost the same with Auchindoun. Is like when you play, you visit Auchindoun in Talador, you're like, oh my god, this is gorgeous, this is beautiful, this is a place of light and peace and tranquility, and it ain't that no mo. The Skethel Mountains place again, you could not get to until level 70, and you got your first flying mount in Shadow Moon Valley at the Dwarf Fortress there. If you were Alliance, or at the Orc Fortress if you were Horde. Remember when they cost like a shit ton of money too? Ah! Come on, find the Shadow Stair, god damn it. There we go. So yeah, you see the bones of Auchindoun, pun entirely intended, by the way. But it hits very differently after you've seen it in its prime, in all of its glory. And then it just makes the tragedy of the Draenei even worse, because it's like you can see what they used to have. You can see the kind of people they used to be when they were just minding their own beeswax and just, yes, hiding out from the Burning Legion. But they were a peaceful people. They're very spiritual people, led by the priest Velen. And the ones here on, in their grand at least, they had some semblance of their usual life, but they still were aware, of what they could have had. What happens in Shadow Moon Valley stays in Shadow Moon Valley, Amarav. Which version of Shadow Moon Valley, though? That's the question. Like, you don't even go over, what was that place? Angerla or something? No. Was it? The big, gigantic stone from the sky? You don't even go, like, over that away. You don't even get to go there on this path. You're too busy. It's not on the optimized route. How you doing tonight, Amref? What'd you have for supper? We're all nosy here tonight. Back in Blue's Anger Marsh. Goodbye, Zangermarsh. You lost a book in the Feywild? You had to go and look for it? The usual? Yeah. Feywild is bad for that, isn't it? Sorry, I'm a little yawny. It was a long day at work today. I had 2 meetings. Fortunately, I only had to have my camera on for one of them. The other one, I could yawn and they could not even see it. We're getting close to the end of our Burning Crusade / Outland run, and then I believe our final step shall be Northrend. And that will conclude our run to level cap. Again, this is a throwaway character. I'm not keeping this character. You don't need to keep the characters you use to get your Warband XP bonus, your mentoring boost in Midnight. One thing I'm always amused about is just how much Time Lord technology they used for things like the Exodar was actually a lot less because they had to build an interior for that. That was obviously matching the shape on the ground. Alright, let's get out of here. You don't have to land to do this. I always find it easier though. But how, for example, the Botanica, the Eye, They don't look the size of those floating crystal ships, right? Okay, going to the Nighthold. Hello? The Nighthold? It's having us go through the Broken Isles? Oh, that's new.
Tread lightly.
Interesting.
Jade
Or maybe I'm just misremembering. No, it's interesting that it's having me take the portal to the Nighthold. I'm so used to the the Legion pathway taking me through, starting in Azuna. I don't think. Maybe there was an update to the plugin. I did actually do update my plugins before I went live. Let me check CurseForge real quick. Let's see if this one's flagged as a recent update. No, it hasn't. Interesting. Okay, well, that's new. Wait, it wants me to take the portal to Nighthold. Was? I'm now officially confused. Because when I did this literally like yesterday, or was it the day before? Okay, well, this is definitely news. Or new to me. Because I've always done Broken Isles a different way. Alright, well, let's follow this one. So, yay, I get to do something new. Like, I used to end, like, this is going backwards. This is how I used to, like, when I would do this leg, I would start in Azuna and wind up here. So for some reason it wants me to do it the opposite way. Weird. Well, we're gonna have a little adventure in the Broken Isles, I guess. But this is the first time I'm running it after... after I got my 25% Warband XP boost, so maybe that has a different... maybe that makes a difference. Yeah, because this is definitely in reverse. So we might wind up in Azuna at the end. Very fascinating. I missed it. Come on, damn it. I remember this one being a tricky one. Let's try this again. There we go. We got a ways to go. Oh, that one was a fail. That was total fail. We might actually, yeah, we're gonna have to hold on here for a second. Let our charges get back. That's the first time I've had to do that for this entire run, is to actually stop and wait to get my charges back. Alright, let's try this again. There we go. I'm on top of the world! One of the downsides is because it's not late enough, you can't see. Oh, we got a legion. Aww. Yeah, there's a legion assault going on. That sucks! Because it's late enough that actually, had we not had the legion assault, we would have seen the beautiful skies of High Mountain. Yeah, this is definitely the reverse path that I'm used to on this leg of the journey. So we're gonna be careful and make sure that we don't get dismounted between High Mountain and Stormheim. Play those Julian pipes! Not here. I can't see where I'm going! Whoopsie doodle. This is what it feels like to drive in the rain and the snow. I'm just saying. Trying to navigate around. You can't see where you're going. In this case, it's because I'm flying so high. Did you ever want to see Murlocs corrupted by the Fell? Guess what? That's one of the world quests it's all about. So, Stormheim, aka Viking Village. So one of the things I actually don't like about WoW is that it takes so much from various real-life cultures that I'm not thinking about it in terms of World of Warcraft as its own story. I'm always thinking about the real-life influences that led to World of Warcraft making Rykul Town, making Viking Village, and lifting all of these elements from real-life cultures. And it's not just, oh, it's the black cultures or the, the Caribbean. See, this is one of the places that if you stick around, you will get flagged for PvP. So you don't want to stick around. And I will keep telling you until you get the hell out of Dodge. Or you get flagged and nobody cares. Because you're not landing. It's not like anything can kill you. Unless you land on the ground and then things start shooting at you. And then you'll die in quick succession because you ain't got no damn gear. Remember, I'm still wearing my original heirlooms, which are not leveled. Whoops. Didn't mean to land. It's like we're flying so high we can't even see the ground. Well, in some fairness, it is kind of raining out, so it does kind of not help. Generally, when it comes to me running these, is I kind of avoid using my whirling surges too much because I always want to keep that in reserve in case I need it. Like if it takes us through the winter grass segment, if it takes us through Northrend, then the winter grass leg is definitely one you want to have that in your back pocket. And of course, we're gonna go up here to Tree Shot Lodge and get told you're not supposed to be here, because that, of course, is the Hunter Order Hall. See? Oh my God! Go away! You're not welcome here. That was actually one neat thing about Legion, is that you did get to play with people of your same class working on the same story. And that was kind of cool, I'm not gonna lie. But then again, they had to create conflict, factional conflict for the sake of conflict rather than anything resembling a good story. And I will have to say, Blizzard has also recently basically said, you know, Horde, we don't care about you in the story. Even as an Alliance main, I recognize that, yeah. It's like, what Horde? Because, yeah, they have not been getting good story. Yep, there's a rare. You don't need to fight. That was a waste. Yep. One of the coolest things about skywriting is that you'll never take fall damage. We hit the 3-hour mark. And we're level 85 and change. So, also bearing in mind that I did yap a bit. So I actually should have put on a timer so I could actually time how long it took me to go from, you know, to do the whole thing. What I will do though is I will clip out that segment and make it a separate clip. Or make it a separate highlight so people can see the actual run. Yeah. Oh no, watch out, you're gonna get flagged for PvP! If you're not careful, the nightmare may grab you here as well. Level 86. Another flag for PvP. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! I weren't careful enough. That was a waste. We're almost there. We're level 86. We started at level 10. Just 3 hours ago. All the XP just going. Oh no, the Legion is here! What are we gonna do? Da da da. Alright. Yeah, this is the complete opposite path that I'm used to going on. Alright, let's go back to Orgrimmar. Hi, Stormlost. She's got snacks because she didn't eat them all the first time. In fairness, I gave her a few more snacks then. Alright. The portal to Dalaran. This will take us to level cap in Northrend. Let's see if we go backwards here. Well, we're starting in Dalaran, so it'll be the same. Nalzaros Post, Galakron's Rest. No! The path is different. Hi. I have to pet the cat. It is a requirement to pet the cat. She's like, are you going to pick me up? Are you going to take me away from my snacks? And the answer to that question is, well, yes, I am. I get your snacks. I get your snacks. There, you have your snacks. She's like, where's my snacks? I just picked them up and gave them to you. You big silly kitten. Alright. So, yeah, this one is also different than I'm used to. Oh. That's so different. Alright, let's go. Tyrion, my homie! My late homie. I love Tyrion. He's my favorite NPC. And man, he got... Oh, man. He got done dirty by Blizzard. I'm just saying. We're not going to do like my friend Josh Keaton once did, which is jump off of Dalaran as a druid and click on his flap button to see how far he could get down through Dragonblight just by druid flapping. He got most of the way to the Wormrest Temple, I'm just saying. And Josh is going to be somewhere on the East Coast this weekend. He's doing a convention. I want to say Virginia Beach. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. We're 87. We're almost at level cap, people. But again, the 80 to 90 route, even with your XP mentoring, your warband mentoring, is still a lot because the amount of XP you get by exploring, while it does scale with your level, it doesn't scale to your level. If that, basically, you do get more when you get up higher in higher levels. Okay, this is where we're gonna run into problems here. The Argent Vanguard, where my homie Tyrion is hanging out with my other homie Darion. I once wrote some fanfic a scene involving Tyrion and Darion, and it was hilarious as hell. Darion basically was giving Tyrion some grief about something. But I definitely wrote Darian a lot less serious than he is, than he is in the actual lore. Because you know, Darian is kind of a Death Knight. You know, they don't have much of a sense of humor. So I do want to kind of stay up at this height in the Storm Peaks for sure. Yep, it's the Stormlost. The theory is that we're coming back to Northrend for the last Titan. I'm not sure what. I kind of think yeah. Though I had a thought. I actually was replying to something Porter Gage said on Blue Sky, and then because it kind of hit me as I was reading his post, as I was going to reply to his post. That's like the World Soul Saga feels like the Chris Metzen show, which I love Chris Metzen. I've met Chris Metzen. He was very kind. I got to take my picture with him at the orc statue, and this was before he came back to Blizzard. He was just visiting campus for whatever reason. He was with his family. I didn't want to bother him, but he was very gracious and very kind. And Andrea Toyas, the casting director, was kind enough to introduce us. And I was with a Blizzard employee who was my host for my tour of campus. One of the sound people who worked on Overwatch. And he's like, man, I haven't met Chris Metzen, because he was a younger member of the team. He's like, he wanted to meet Chris Metzen, so we were like, you want to go over there and meet him? I was like, sure, let's go. And then, you know, I kind of interrupted him and Andrea having a chat. And Andrea knows me, so. Andrea Toyas is the lady who solved a 2-year-long mystery about who voices Tyrion Fordring in World of Warcraft. That I'm the one who solved the mystery. Because nobody outside of Blizzard really knew or honestly gave a shit about it. And once upon a time, I thought a certain voice actor in Star Wars: The Old Republic sounded like him. Like, so who's this character? Maybe I can find out who it is based on this person. And so I found out the name of the voice actor in SWTOR. Thanks to it, I was at Star Wars Celebration in Orlando. And I had just randomly run into the then VP of Finance of LucasArts, who told me, yeah, the person who does the voice acting casting for SWTOR was Orion Kellogg, and he gave me Orion's Lucasfilm email address. And so I got my courage up and sent an email, introduced myself, and said how I got this person's email address and why I was asking, blah, blah, blah. I was like, who does the voice of Charl Organa on Alderaan in SWTOR? And he told me a name. I didn't know the name. I didn't recognize the name. I had no idea who this person was. And so I then started pestering the Warcraft people, say, hey, who does the voice of Tyrion? Da, 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 da. And this was back when Devilor still worked there. And Regaria still worked there. Coffee Bird. And none of them could figure it out. And this is when I was fairly new to Taryn Gregory's friendship. And he couldn't remember the name. He remembered the actor. Like, he might have been there when he was recording. But he didn't remember the actor's name. And so this kind of just laid around for a couple years, going back and forth, trying to solve this mystery. Who does the voice of Tyrion? And I asked Taryn, well, is it this person that the SWTOR people told me? And he goes, I don't think it's that guy. I don't think. And I went to the actor's website. I'm petting the cat again. I gotta pet the cat. Gotta put the kitty cat. And there were some vocal similarities, but it really wasn't a match. I couldn't tell that it was a match. And so kind of just laid around. And so about 10 years ago, I was at BlizzCon hanging out with Russell Brower. This was the year that I met him. And Andrea rolls up to us. And, you know, she and Russell exchanged pleasantries because, you know, they're coworkers and whatnot at the time. And then he introduces me to her, and I'm like, oh, hi, I love blah, blah, blah. You know, I tried not to make an ass of myself in public at BlizzCon, you know. And then I realized, oh, shit, she knows the answer. And I asked her, who does the voice of Tyrion? And she was about to just run off because she was, like, in the middle of other things, and she was just about to bolt away. And I just caught her before she left. She's like, who does the voice of Tyrion? And she just name dropped it, like, super cash. It's like, oh, yeah, it was this guy. And it wasn't the guy from SWTOR. It was a completely different person. And so I was like, I looked up the actor, saw some of the stuff. He has actually done some like live action as well, and I listened to him, and I'm like, yeah, that's Tyrion. I could see where he was putting, you know, some work in on his voice, so it didn't sound exactly like it, but he sounded like, yeah, this is Tyrion way more than this other guy. This other guy only had a couple of things that sounded vaguely like in the same register, but this was definitely the guy. And of course, Andrea is the person who hired him, so of course she knows who does Tyrion. And so it was really funny. She solved the 2-year mystery in 2 seconds flat. And it's thanks to Russell Brower. And we're in Grizzly Hills, where we're going to listen to one of his favorite pieces, one of the most beloved pieces in all of Warcraft, if it pops in here. We may not get it because we're flying too damn fast. We're about to cross over into Howling Fjord. There we go. This is the beginning of the piece. It's called the Totems of the Grizzlemaw. We'll hear it on the way back because we come through Grizzly Hills twice. We'll hear it later. And it wound up, she had to confirm it on Twitter once upon a time. There's screenshots. Like, one of the, like, Wowpedia was, it was like, I think it was, hey, there we go, 88. It was, I think it was Wowpedia was commenting about Tyrion and his voice actor, and I confirmed for them. It's like, yeah, the voice of Tyrion is Floyd Van Buskirk, by the way, is the name of the actor. What's really funny is he's married to the voice actress who does Tyrande Whisperwind. So yeah, Tyrion is married to Tyrande, and Malfurion's pissed. No, I don't know. And so I was like, no. They were saying somebody else was doing voices here. I'm like, no, it's this guy. They're like, what's your source? I'm like, Andrea told me, and she hired him. And then Andrea replied and, confirmed it. Yep, that's it. He's our Tyrion. And so I'm actually cited. My Twitter post is actually cited on Wowpedia's page as to who Tyrion's voice actor is. And also, like, when Bernard Hill, who played Theoden and Rohan in the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies, when he passed away, like, he was basically somebody everybody thought was doing Tyrion's voice, but nobody had actually, like, confirmed it or anything, Kind of helps if you confirm this shit. And so, like, a lot of people thought it was Bernard, Mr. Hill, and I was like, no, it's Floyd Van Buskirk. I heard it straight from the lady who hired him. Blah, blah, blah. And so when Bernard Hill passed away, a couple of years ago, that ran through the WoW community again, and everyone's like, oh, I'm so sad, it's our Tyrion. I'm like, no, bro, our Tyrion is still alive, unlike the character. The character's quite dead. I'm mad about that. But I think I would have been more pissed, honestly. Speaking of Tyrion, I would have been way more pissed if Blizzard had actually gone through the idea of making him one of the 4 horsemen for the Death Knights. Oh man, that would have been like a perversion of everything he ever stood for. At least if he's dead, you're not, create was it sacrilege against his memory? Holy shit. I might have opinions about Tyrion Porter. Yeah. I might have a few opinions about Tyrion. How he got done dirty by Blizz. There we go. There's the Grizzly Hill themes that everybody loves. Consistently voted one of the most beloved themes in all of World of Warcraft. Written by my good buddy, Mr. Russell Brower. Russell's had such an amazing career. Like, I didn't even know that he had done some work on the Teddy Ruxpin toy. Like, what the fuck, dude? I knew that he had been a Walt Disney engineer, an Imagineer. An Imagineer is the official job title, I guess. Or group, I don't know. He used to actually be in graphic design, and then he kind of like, yo, I wanna compose. And they let him do some stuff, and then he's done all kinds of fun things over his career. His career is like actually really amazing. He did some work on the original Tron at Disney. He did sound design for Batman the Animated Series. In fact, it was during the Batman stuff that he spent his lunch breaks shooting pool with Lemmy from Motorhead. The fuck? Because Motorhead was recording an album in the studio next door or whatever. And so they just go spend, take breaks and shoot pool. He did work on like Tiny Toons, Adventures, all those kind of cartoons back then. And then he got hired at Blizzard and was the big wig in charge of the audio at Blizzard, or at least for World of Warcraft specifically. Alright, let's see if I can find this one. This one is always a little tricky. Here, we got it. And this one's always a little bit of a pain in the ass. Because you kind of have to, like, go under it to get it. Here we go. Back in the Dragonblight for a little bit. Back to Zuldrak. Back into Crystal Song. I love Crystal Song. It's very pretty, but it's also such a tragic story to Crystal Song. Of course, Dragonblight to follow Galakron. So this is definitely going to be something Northrend something. I think they're going to overhaul Northrend entirely, and going to make this version of Northrend is going to be pitched into the past with like a Sora Dormy teleport, or a Zadormi teleport to take you to this version, because since we know Iridikron has to be coming back at something at some point. And we know, this is like Titan Central, right? And so all they have to do is make a completely new version of, okay, so what does this place look like now that the Lich King isn't around anymore? And if they don't make some sort of memorial to Tyrion, I'm gonna be pissed. Good old Naxxramas. I think Wrath of the Lich King is where I got hooked deep into WoW. I mean, when I started playing, it was the tail end of vanilla. So I didn't really start playing until Burning Crusade. And so I was always way far behind, right? So, but So I was playing. I was pretty hook solid on it even beforehand because I was like, I really enjoy this game. I like the story. I enjoy leveling. I have some friends who are playing it now. Blah 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 blah. Oh, I probably should have saved that because I will need that. Well, it's 26 seconds. I should be fine. I just don't want to use it until I get to the winter grasp because we are gonna get flagged for PvP, and it's gonna be okay. We're not gonna land anywhere unless I get dismounted like a dumbass, like the last two times I did the winter grasp leg and did not get out of the way in time. It's actually kind of funny if you do get dismounted because you just get a parachute. You just keep on going, and you just like parachute your way into Sholazur Basin. It's amazing. Okay, we're getting close to where we need to go. Gonna get the Surge Needle here in Moonrest Gardens. Alright, 89! We are on our last level. Yeah, these Necropoli are really annoying to fly around and to get their travel points. Okay. The Spire of Decay. Alright, here we go. Here we go. Alright, here we go. Alright, we made it! I made that one safely because I saved my cooldown. It would have been fine, honestly. I would have landed somewhere near the Fizzcrank Airport, and you know, if I landed in a bad spot, I actually landed on the airstrip the first time it happened. It was actually really funny because I was like, "Whoa!" I landed in one of the few good spots on the airstrip as a horde character, I might add. So it's like, "Oh, cool!" I mounted up and flew right away. But had I landed in a bad spot where it would have been impossible to res and immediately get back on my mount, I would have just taken, you know, res at the spirit healer and then start flying from there. And not really cared. So now the question is, am I going to get my... Ooh, I'm still flagged, by the way. I just noticed I'm still flagged. Will I get my level 90 in Borean Tundra, or will I not get it until I get to Sholazur Basin? Because the past few runs, it's been Sholazur Basin. But I think I'm running ahead of where I was. Because the last couple of runs, I had to go all the way into Ice Crown before it would tick over. Right, cool vision shit. I remember the first time I did this, I ran as an Alliance Earthen and landed on the roof of Warsong Hold. No big deal. And that character actually ran in War Mode, not realizing that War Mode wasn't helping my XP. I didn't think to check first. And so I was sitting there in War Mode on top of Warsong Hold as an Alliance, and nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared. Like, the one run I did in complete war mode, nobody cared. We are getting super close. We may not need to even go into... I think we might need to pass into Ice Crown. Yeah, I think we will need to go to Ice Crown. There's only a few points left here in Sholzar Basin. It helps if we actually get them on the first try. Alright, that was the last one in Sholzar. Dun, 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 dun. We're getting so close to the ding! Hope it's not the Fleshworks. Fleshworks is not one of my favorite places. There we go. Jotunheim. Again, stealing the Viking shirt. Oh, for Christ's sakes. Fine. There we go. We have done it. Level 90. 3 hours, 37 minutes of the entire stream. Now, again, there was like a good 15, 20 minutes of waffle at the very beginning. So there we go. We are level 90. Again, this character has no gear. So unless you have warband gear handy, or you buy greens off the auction house, or you craft some shit for yourself, you are going to be in pain. There we go. 10 to 90 in less than 3.5 hours. And again, just to show my gear, I level 36. And these are all, the level 10s are Earthen starter gear. The others are my very badly managed heirlooms. And the only reason to get the heirlooms is because if you, well, while they are still active, they give you the rested experience consumed is reduced. But you don't actually consume your rested XP unless you land and fight things. So, yeah. So now what I have to do is I'm not keeping this character. I don't need this character. But what I do have is the 25% XP boost for warbands. So all of my characters, going from anything up to level 90, from wherever they are to level 90, they're going to get 25% extra XP. And that does stack with things like the Dark Moon Fair boost and whatnot. So that's really, really, really cool. So the tactic to do here is if you're not yet playing Midnight, if you have the War Within mentors, that will definitely help you. Because you get level 80 with 5 characters in the War Within, you get 1 to 80 at 25% extra XP for any subsequent character. But the Midnight one extends it to level 90, so that's going to get you... So let's say you level your first character like normal, the painful, low and slow way. You know, like putting a brisket in the smoker or putting some ribs on the smoker. And then your next character to get to 90 will add 5% to then 5% and 5% until you're running at 25% for all of your characters on your account. So it's very handy. So you power level for Earthen this way, and then you can start leveling your regular alts however you want. Now, they too can also use this method to go from 80 to 90, but you saw how kind of slow that was. But if you don't want to have to run delves with them, you don't want to have to necessarily run the story sequence, you don't want to do all this other crap. If you just want to get them to 90 and start gearing them to play, this is probably the quickest way to get it done. If they, well, from 80 to 90, yeah, it's still going to be the quickest way. Anyway, that's it. Again, bearing in mind, though, unless they're Earthen, they don't get that 200% XP boost for the old areas. So that is definitely key. That's why running an Earthen is good. But again, if you don't like playing Earthen, this isn't going to help you quite as much unless you want to just bite the bullet. Get the Earthen done for the 25% stuff and then get rid of them and play your regular characters the way you want to play them. Alright, I'm going to get out of here because it is late. I'm going to go watch other people play video games. And I got some shit to do. So y'all be good. If you can't be good at it. And I appreciate you watching. This is going to get bundled up on YouTube. I'm probably going to take the beginning bit and make a separate, clip of it. I'm going to do like the whole thing, and I'm going to set that aside to let that bake as its own little shorter video. And that will also give me a good idea how much this part actually was, the actual run. And again, I wasn't like being hyper focused on making sure that I was like extreme, like I wasn't trying to do a speed run strat where everything was perfect, and I don't have time for that. I know there are people out there who are doing that because that's their jam, is how to speed run 10 to 90 on an Earthen. Make sure you make all the turns right, you do this, you do that, homie ain't got time for that. But yeah, brand new character, 2 level cap. Ding. Alright, I will talk to you all later. Appreciate you watching, especially you, Holly. You're awesome. And I will see you all on the flip side. Peace.